Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio. Discover your spiritual gifts live.
Welcome to Discover Your Spiritual Gifts Live, show number 9. We are your hosts, Dave,
Vialet,
and Jason.
Our guest today is Christine Alexandria, transformational coach and author. Christine has a fascinating story about living an average, happy, but unfulfilling life. And then the Angelic realm announced themselves. Welcome, Christine. Thank you for being on the show.
Oh, Dave, Vialet, Jason, thank you so much for including me in your world. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, let's talk some about your background. Tell us more about what happened to you, where you started, all those kinds of things.
All those kinds of things. We don't have enough time for all of that story. But, I did. I grew up in a pretty idyllic childhood. I have amazing parents, and I am blessed that they're both still very much alive and both still very active. We like to say they make us exhausted with their activities and things they do. And, I have two siblings, a brother and a sister. I'm the eldest of the three of us. And, I was always intuitive. And I remember we were living in Connecticut at the time. So I was about 6, maybe 7. It was first grade. And friends and I were hanging out in the bedroom, and I kept saying, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. And they looked at me, how do you know everything? And it was bam. At that moment, every intuitive thing about me just shut down because I realized not everybody knew. And, of course, you want to be liked, right? You want to be accepted. You want to have friends and be popular, all those things that society says we have to experience in order to be amazing people. And, and I changed, I was always Christine, and then during junior high, it became Chris, because it was a little bit cooler, a little bit more, accessible. Nothing really happened. I even tried Alex for a while, and that kind of fell flat. That was a very short-lived experiment. And so I went back to Chris, and I stayed Chris for decades, actually, to the point I went in for soul coach training, and Denise Lynn is the facilitator of that. She kept calling me Christine that entire 10-day intensive, to the point it was really bugging me, because I would politely correct her, my name's Chris. Christine says, and it really bugged me, Dave, but I realized the gift she gave me was all of me back. I was no longer hiding, because Chris is only part of me. It's not my whole name. And I've realized that our soul recognizes our entire birth name. It's not the nickname. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a sister. I'm a niece. I'm a granddaughter, great-granddaughter. I'm all these things. But my soul, everybody's soul, recognizes that birth name. So when Denise started calling me Christine again, I'm like, oh, that was big. It was really, really big. And all things kind of wrap up into all of this. And at one point, I was having a phone reading. I was the only person at home. And the reader calls in Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, I don't know, a couple other people. But then she calls in Archangel Ariel. And I had kind of heard the name before, but I wasn't totally, it was kind of like a name in passing, so to speak. But at this moment, because I was so focused on this reading and what she's going to tell me, before I could stop myself, I yelled out, blurted out, Pinky! And I don't remember anything else about that conversation. And I'm like, what the heck was all that about? So I go to bed that night. I put the girls to bed. And I said, okay. And I'm starting to get back into this metaphysical, the spiritual world. And it's something I've always been drawn to. Went to see psychics, but never thought I could do it. But it always intrigued me. So I'm asking everybody to come back in. Everybody at this reading, come in right now. So I'm seeing them come in energetically into the bedroom. So when Ariel comes in, because now I'm expecting her, I went, oh, it's you. because she's my guardian angel. Her true color resonance is red, but certainly, red is the power color. So for those that are little in the crib, for those that are intimidated by power, red can be very overpowering, can be scary. So she will present herself initially in pink hues. So I didn't know the name Ariel as a child, but I knew my colors. I was such a bright girl. So I called her Pinky. So she became Pinky all these years, and that told me that confirmed to me that I do have this gift. I've been doing it my entire life, whether I wanted to acknowledge it or not, and I wasn't going nuts. I wasn't hearing strange voices. I'm ready for a padded cell. This is indeed one of my gifts, is that I talk with the angels. And that story in itself has kept me going more oftentimes than I probably would even recollect, because it just keeps encouraging me that I get these nuances to create a product, or what to say to a client, or what to say to a student to help encourage them, inspire them. And sometimes I wing slap them, which is, much nicer than a, head slap, but it's to, basically call them on it. So it's all these different things, energies that have culminated and keeps producing and encouraging me to keep going. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. I got married, still married to the same guy. We're going on 34 years this year. Have 2 amazing daughters, and life is good. I really truly love what I do. Angel Chatter is my business, and my eldest daughter gave me my business name because, I'm in this dilemma because, of course, you want something snazzy for your business name and memorable, and I'm, overthinking, as we all do. And in her brilliant teenage years, she looked at me and she rolled her eyes. She goes, Mom. I went, what? She goes, you chat with angels. I went, yeah. She goes, so your business name is Angel Chatter. And I went, oh, I like it. It's quirky. It's clean. I love it. She goes, yeah, no kidding. And she walked away, came back 10 minutes later, and she goes, and here's your logo. And it's the logo I've been using ever since.
Wow. Great story. Wonderful story.
Thank you, Violet. Thank you, Violet.
I love it. My voice is going today, so excuse me as it cracks. It's called allergies.
Oh, I'm so
We're
sorry
coming
to hear
into
that.
spring.
Yeah. You need put some of that Raphael oil on you when you get back to the store.
Well, I will do that. I'm loving your oils and sprays, so enjoying that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And so thanks for sharing that story. So talk to us a little bit about, how this journey with the angels, how you've, because I love, you've got so much stuff going on.
Yeah, I do.
You really do, and I love that. I love that about you, and I love your connection with the angels. So in your products and your teachings and bringing all that in, has it just been from the memories of childhood, or has that developed and evolved as you continue to connect with them and work with the angels?
Oh, wouldn't it be boring if I learned everything when I was 6 and we stopped? So it is indeed always evolving. I studied the angelic realm. So all the ones that are in the book are the ones that are in my oracle deck. So my oracle deck was the very first product, and they said, "Oh, you're going to make a deck," and I went, "Yeah, sure." And I pretty much fell on the floor and laughed at them, and they won, obviously. Because I said, why?
That's not a really productive reaction. They're gonna keep coming. They don't stop. So rolling on the floor.
They kept coming. They kind of wind slapped me into submission. And and I said, all right, explain to me why the world needs yet another oracle deck, because God knows there are dozens and hundreds, probably thousands of them out there. And they go, yeah, okay. Think about the decks you have. I'm like, okay. They're beautifully illustrated. I'm like, yeah, okay, because they're supposed to. They go, yeah, hold the phone. I go, aren't your clients? Because I was just kind of starting to see clients at that. I'm kind of tiptoeing out of this little, spiritual closet. And I said, aren't your clients paying more attention to the illustration and what it might mean and not our message? And I went, oh, okay. So he goes, so they said, therefore, the deck you are to create is simplistic. It allows our message to stand on its own merit. I said, oh, now that makes sense. See, I am a product of my parents. Even though I do what I do, which is very metaphysical and very trusting because it's energy, it still has to make sense for me. I said, okay. So we were in the process of moving from Massachusetts to Baltimore. So again, the house is empty because my husband's down in the Baltimore area doing his thing with his job. So they pretty much sit my fanny in the chair for 2 weeks, and I took dictation. So I wrote the deck and that accompanying guidebook in a 2-week period. Boom, done. Yay, me, right? So then it was to how to illustrate it. So I tried a few things. I tried, color coordinating the chakra that the angel represents and all of that. And at best, it looked like a preschooler did it. So it bombed. And I was like, no, that's not right. So a friend finally said, what about symbols? And it was an immediate hit. A very similar situation had. In one evening, every angel in that deck, there are 14, came forward and gave me what I now understand is a sigil. So for those that don't know what a sigil is, don't get scared. It's a symbol that actually strengthens your connection with that particular energy. So a stop sign says, please stop. We all know it's a suggestion because very few actually stop. A dove represents peace, but it doesn't strengthen your connection to peace. A sigil, which is what is in the card deck, actually represents, symbolizes, empowers you to strengthen your connection with that particular angel. So each angel came forward and gave me a sigil. Now, I'm a girl. I like things, rounded, roses, lollipops, unicorns, girly type of things. So I know I didn't create these sigils because the sigils, if you had to look at them, they're not feminine. They're not rounded. They're very masculine in energy. They're very angular. So I know, again, gives me comfort, I didn't make them up. They were given to me. And it's really cool because they all have 3 things in common. They all started a circle, they all ended a line, and they can all be drawn in one motion. So that was my very, very, very first thing. And then it's sad, and I'm looking around, and I'm starting to do psychic fairs, $1 a minute, and I thought I hit pay dirt when I went to $2 a minute, and I was like, yay me, I'm so excited. This is amazing stuff. And then the product, people started asking for things. Hey, do you have candles? Hey, do you have oils? Hey. And I went, okay, people are asking. So things just then began to grow. So yeah, Vialet, this is constantly growing. So I had just finished my second deck, and it all comes from Mary Magdalene. So leaving the angelic realm, not leaving it by any means, but bringing in more energy. And I've known about this new deck since the first one came out. Had the title, I had it. But I got nothing as far as what was going to go in it. And, I even, got artwork to inspire me, to, get me in that moment again. Nothing. Every time I went to it, it felt forced. Oh, but then I went to France last year, and I followed Mary Magdalene's footsteps through France. And I came home. She and I had a few moments. Cry on my end, ugly cry, and I'm not an ugly cry person. So I get home and I'm, recalibrating, settling in. She goes, oh yeah, by the way, that deck is mine. And it's amazing. I got the phrasing, etc., for each of the 34 cards, I think within a day and a half. And then because of her energy, I could only work on at the most 3 cards per day, working on a channeled message from her basically then my interpretation of that, the ritual that accompanies that card, and so on. So yeah, it just keeps evolving. It just keeps getting better and better and more exciting and more expansive. And it's really cool. It's really, really cool. So
Christine, the deck that you're talking about with Mary Magdalene, mm-hmm. that's what you're working on now?
Yeah.
Or is that's okay, so there's the affirmations is something different. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Affirmations. The affirmations came about, we had a young man living with us in Baltimore for a few years. And to put it in a nutshell, no country literally would claim him. He was born in England and came over here as an infant, has a permanent green card, and mother abandoned him. Birth certificate is who knows where. So he could never become a U.S. citizen. His dad didn't take care of that when he was a minor, so now as an adult. So therefore, he was just totally convinced the world was out to get him, so he best get it first. So he did not have a lot of things. But I really, because he wasn't my biological child, I'm noticing his literal talk and how he would manifest it. So I'm being, I'm going to show him affirmations and this, and he would look at me and roll his eyes. You happy? And it's like, okay, that's not working either. But then I'm noticing these questions. Why can't I hold a job? Why can't I do this? And that's what he was creating, because why can't I? I went, oh, there's something here. Let's take that philosophy, those questions. So I'm checking in with the gang, as I call the angels. I go, yeah, this is one of the laws of the universe. Every question we ask, we answer. Literally, we don't interpret. So if we say things, why can't I have more money? Why can't I have more clients? Why can't I get ahead? Why can't I have true love? It's why can't I? You'll never get what you think you're asking for, because you're asking, one, very whiny, but you're asking or thinking the question, and that is exactly what gets answered. So instead is, why do I have an abundance of money? Why do I have so many clients? Why do I have the love of my life? Why is it safe for me to be me? And then things began to change for him. I haven't heard from him for years, but the last I did hear from him, he was in a very happy relationship and had a daughter of his own, and he was doing quite well, which was light years from where he was. So the book came out first, the Affirmation book, and then the same thing happened. Customers, clients, my students said, hey, my Facebook group said, hey, can you make a deck? I went, hey, yeah, I could. So I patrolled my Facebook group, and I said, what are your favorite affirmations? So it's not just the ones that I like, it's the ones that people from across the world like and use. And that's what then created the Affirmation deck.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that story. It's so deeply moving, and it makes an impression when you use the cards, because it really immediately shifts your mindset. And
doesn't it really? Yeah.
Yeah, I was originally introduced to the affirmations in the Angel Chatter book. And then when I got a hold of the cards, I said, this is a great daily tool. This is something you can apply multiple times, even a day, just to, all right, this is where I'm at. What's my affirmation today? And it works really well. I enjoy that deck. It's simple, it's quick, it's easy, and it shifts where you're at. It changes your view on things immediately. And I think that sort of impact is what so many of us can benefit from.
And you're so right, and thank you for that confirmation, because it is. And we can all get in a gerbil wheel of things aren't going according to plan, oh, woe is me, and, and before you know it, you've dug yourself a beautiful hole, but it is indeed a hole, and it doesn't seem like you're ever going to get out of it, because you just keep digging it beautifully, and it gets deeper and deeper. So, but when we can make these really subtle shifts, and it doesn't require massive amounts of energy. It doesn't require really thinking, because, think about those why can't I questions. You're throwing them out because you're frustrated. So you're not looking for an answer. It's that easy here too. You're throwing it out there. And people will say, well, what if I don't believe the question? I said, it doesn't matter. You asked, you were conscious enough, you asked the question. They then, the universe, the angelic realm, the ascended masters, all those yummy people begin to line things up for you in response to that question.
I love that. I love that. Christine, I work with the angels too, and I know for people out there listening who have not worked with angels, the big question I always get with clients when I talk about angels is they're like, well, I don't know how they feel or how they look, because they look for them to be in the angel images that we see around everywhere, and they may not appear to us in that manner. Do you have something that you could tell our audience about how to connect with angels and what that might look like if they're trying to connect themselves?
Sure. Well, the first angel, especially if you're a newbie to this, is I always introduce Archangel Michael, or Big Mike as I call him, because he's very big. He's got the whole Fabio hair thing going, and he's very, very big presence. And it's funny. I got one of my students saying, "I'm not sure if I'm doing this right." The biggest thing, anybody, me included, is simply to relax into it. The minute we start forcing or start really searching for the answer is always right in front of us. But because we're so busy looking beyond our nose, so to speak, we miss those little moments. So the angels connect with us in so many different ways. They connect through numbers. And there's a great website called Sacred Scribes. I tell everybody about it. She deserves to have her book out. And she takes numbers from 0 up to over 3,000 and has a phrase, words of encouragement that go with that number. And they're incredibly insightful. Angels leave feathers. Who hasn't found a feather? And people can say, well, that feather's always there. We lived on a barrier island for a number of years, and, island has seagulls, right? Birds. So people, you have seagulls all the time. But, yeah, I'm the one that noticed the feathers. So they may be there, but it's up when you notice it, it's a sign for you. Who hasn't heard a song at a specific time? So a couple of years ago, my aunt was dying of cancer, and it was imminent. And I was leaving to go to visit my parents. And my uncle, her husband, who had died many, many years ago, all of a sudden pops in the car. And I hadn't heard from Uncle John in forever. And he goes, hey, I'm coming to take her home. I said, okay, give her a hug, tell her I love her, and I'll miss her. Will do. And he was gone. I'm like, and it happened so quickly, I didn't even begin to think about why is he in the car. And I was like, well, that was weird. And then I immediately passed exit 44. Fours are very well known to connect with angels. The very next song on the radio, and I haven't heard it in years, and I haven't heard it since, was Cher's Take Me Home. So very quickly, those things line up. I get to my parents' house. I see Mom. I said, she died, didn't she? And she looked at me. How did you know? Yeah, I had some insight. So we get these messages. And Michael, he tends to give off a lot of heat because his planetary connection is indeed the sun. So think of this beautiful, warm, sunny day. So, Jason, you can confirm this. When I'm at shows, I wear a sleeveless dress. Doesn't matter what time of year. Because when I'm channeling, I always have Michael with me in my booth to make sure that the messages are as clear as possible for who is sitting with me. And the minute I stop for the day, I'm putting a jacket on because I'm done. And he then, pretty much leaves my body, and I'm no longer, warm. I'm getting back to me, and I need that covering on. So that's one of his signs, and it's really, Vialet. It's that art of allowing. And really understanding, and this is so hard for all of us, me included, to allow the help to come in and really own that you don't have to do everything by yourself. You don't have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, no matter how empathic you are. You can ask for assistance, angels as an example, and then allow it. So I love telling stories, as you may have picked up on. I'm setting up for a show a couple of years ago, and my husband wasn't with me for this one. So I'm unloading the car, and I have like 8 hours to do this. So I'm in no rush. I feel no pressure. And this volunteer walks by, and he says, "Can I help you?" I said, No, I'm good. And he stopped, and he smiled sweetly at me, and he looked at me, and he goes, "You are very powerful. You are very strong. Will you allow me to help you?" I went, "Oh, that's good. I'm going to remember that. And yes, I will allow you to help me." So it's that allowing them to come in. And don't force the message or the inspiration of what you think you're supposed to be getting or hearing, because oftentimes it's not. Oftentimes they will completely surprise you. You know, Vialet and Jason, you guys can back me up. You see clients. It's the unexpected that can throw you, but surprise you and excite you.
Yep.
So true.
Agreed.
So true.
Well, even when you're working with the same angels, there's times when you can be working with the same angel in the same kind of situation with a different person, and the whole thing is different.
Exactly.
You never know what's going to happen. It's always interesting. It's always cool. Like I often say, to have a ringside seat for those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to be there and be a part of that, even when you're not sure what the heck's going on.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And it's the craziest thing. You know, I had a client a couple of days ago, and it's just how the verbiage comes out. And I said, you know, when you connect the dots, and she immediately stopped and she started laughing. I said, "Okay, what's that?" She goes, "I've been seeing dots since a child, and there's nothing medically wrong with me." So it's a very common phrase, connecting the dots. But for her, it was so poignant. But it's not a term that I use on a day-to-day basis. So even these little things that can come out of your mouth that you're not paying attention to, it can be spot on. And it's very, very cool.
Yeah, it's fun to let the message just develop, right?
Isn't it?
And when I hear it and I know it's not my verbiage, that's the most exciting stuff to deliver, because it's so often just what somebody else needs to hear. And then they get that look, that smile, that happy synchronistic smile. That's one of my favorites.
You're like, ooh, we have a winner here, folks.
Like you said earlier, I'm so good at what I do. I mean, thank you guys. You're so wonderful.
Yeah. It's just, I really, and you do too. And I can tell Vialet does as well. It's when you love what you do that everything, is it always easy? I'd be a liar if I said it was. But, because we're human, right? But it becomes a lot more exciting because you enjoy what it is.
Yep. 100% agreed on that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say we're probably at a point where we need to take a little bit of a break there. How are we on time, Dave?
Yeah, let's take a little break here for some important announcements, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Do you desire a deeper connection with your past life information and your spiritual guidance? Would you like to secure access to your personal wisdom and bring that continuously into your daily life? Then the Akashic Shamanism 2-day workshop is for you. The next event is June 8th and 9th of 2019 at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, and you can sign up through Facebook and Eventbrite. This 2-day immersive experience helps you discover and strengthen your connection to the Akashic Records. It also teaches you how to have access to this wisdom for clarity and guidance, and that's when you need it. Together we will explore many different techniques to find out how and what works for you. It's all about your journey to your information. We work with shamanic practices to draw in and secure this wisdom into your daily experience. This is done through grounding and clearing exercises, shamanic journeys, and personal exploration. My name is Jason Antalek, also known as Akashaman. As an international speaker and spiritual teacher, it is my passion and joy to share my experience with the Akashic Records and shamanic practices with you. I truly enjoy the interaction and transformation that occurs during this workshop, and I get a ringside seat for the ahas, healing, and growth that occurs during our time together. Please join me for an immersive exploration into your soul information and spiritual guidance in the Akashic Shamanism 2-day workshop.
Thank you for joining the show. We're rejoining with our guest, Christina Alexandria, and we have more questions and comments and discussion about all this fascinating world of angels. So let's go ahead and move forward.
I'd like to share a quick story about my experience, first of all, meeting Christine in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I was fortunate enough to have a booth next to hers in the same space there. And I was on day 2, and I'm doing my normal clearing in the morning, using holy water and going through my normal process. And Christine taps me on the shoulder and hands me her Zadkiel spray, and it's for clearing. And I looked at it. I said thank you, and I said okay, well let's try this. And a couple of sprays right over the booth, and I felt this whoosh, like this vacuum of clearing happen. Like everything that was not appropriate just out immediately. And right on the heels of it, this huge angelic energy just dropped down in my space. It was like it was almost an audible thud, just clunk, it came down. And I said, well, that was easy. Like, that's done. I am good for the rest of the day. And everything after that point was just so simple and easy to do. And it was just, I very seldom have I had products that had that type of impact so quickly. But among the many things that you do have, the oils and the sprays are pretty amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it's thank you for that. I used to sage, and I don't anymore because, again, when we lived in Baltimore, it was a gorgeous house, but it just, we'll say, had some weird stuff going on energetically within the house and in the land. And every time I sage, because that's what I was familiar with at the time, this is way before I had my Zadkiel products, I noticed the house would feel really amazing for about a day, maybe 2, and then, oh my, it's like the gates opened up all over again. Things just got much worse, and I could not figure out why. And a friend of mine at the time said, sage actually fuels some energy. And I went, oh, did not know that. Here I thought I was doing a good thing and all of this stuff, and it was actually feeding it. So when I jumped to the Zadkiel, because Zadkiel works in conjunction with Saint Germain, and they oversee what is called the violet flame. So for those that aren't aware of that, think of a flame that is violet in color, and that's your visual. That's pretty much what it looks like. And all it does is transmute, which means taking the kaka and putting it back to its original state of purity. Where if you think of when you sage and all that stuff, it fluffs it up. You got to open up doors and windows, which isn't really fun when it's in the middle of wintertime. It's rather cold in the house. But where with the violet flame, immediately transmutes it. So years ago, after I had created the product, my daughter, our eldest daughter, was ahead of us at the beach house. She was doing her summer job. And I come down, I'm like, wow, she cleaned the house. This is amazing. Yay, my kid. And she comes home that, and I said, thank you for cleaning the house. And she looked at me and giggled. I said, what? She goes, Mom, all I did was clear it. That's how great the house was and felt clean. So it's what I do in our home. It's what I do, just like you did, Jason, at the booth. I do it at our booth for the show. So it keeps that space sacred. And, you know, sometimes every show is not a winner, and sometimes you have less than savory neighbors or less than savory people walking around. So I've been known, just saying, I've been known to walk around my booth a couple of times during the show saying, okay, y'all need to clear this again. You know, we need to shift the energy and put it back to right. So yeah, it's a pretty amazing. And don't you find that so often people think that anything that has value has to be many multi-stepped and we must do it? And I'm like, I'm not saying things don't have to be many, many steps. You know, I love to bake and cook, and that can be many steps. But I also like easy, because I will freely admit I am lazy. And if I can do something in a couple of steps versus 10 or 12, I am all over that.
Yeah, I would say amen to that. I'm very much, right? I'm not stuck on dogma or ritual. If you can get quick and fast results and not allow 27 steps to get in the way, that's great.
Exactly. And if the results are the same or better, why wouldn't you? And I'm their guinea pig. I freely admit it. You know, I don't release something until I've tried it or played with it. And, you know, I want to make sure that it's doing what I think, or do I need to tweak it still? All of that. So it is a process, but it's a fun process.
Well, it kind of reminds me of the thing. Some people are very protective of their pendulums. I've had this pendulum in my personal pocket, in its personal little pouch for 7 years, and nobody else has touched it, so please don't touch it. And to me, pendulum's just a tool. I'll use a tea bag if that's all I have.
I love it. And I agree. I absolutely agree. And, you know, and I tell my clients will come here for weekends, and they'll go, can I touch these crystals? I said, yeah, if I didn't want you to play with them, they wouldn't be down here. You know, I do have a personal stash in my office, which is where I'm sitting now. Then I have a stash that's my clients, that, you know, only for client work. And then I've got them all over the house in, you know, a variety of amazing specimens. So if I don't want it, you're not even going to know it exists. So you're not going to be aware that you're missing out on something. But I've also been known to say, hey, hold on, there's a crystal in my office that wants me to bring it down to show you so you can experience it. So even those ones in my office aren't hands off.
Well, it reminds me of a little situation that I have. A number of years ago, my wife went down to see John of God in Brazil, and she brought back a whole lot of John of God blessed crystals, and I have them. And so then the question these days, with his reputation in tatters for the accusations against him, what is the energy in those crystals? And I choose to believe that, you know, the crystals take care of themselves, and you know, if his blessing had a lower vibration and wasn't supposed to take, it wasn't going to take anyway. So I'm not worried about it.
And you're exactly right, Dave, because I've been gifted a couple of John of God pieces of jewelry that I adore. And the energy of them is sublime. And people may also say the same thing about Doreen Virtue, because since she has changed her life philosophy and what resonates with her. People are saying, do I need to burn her decks? Are they not any good? And honestly, if they still resonate with you, use them. If they don't, and you don't like the energy, yes, maybe you want to make a little ceremony and be cathartic and burn them, or gift them. It's totally up to you. If they still feel yummy, use them. If they don't, I mean, anything that you have can cease to no longer feel yummy. You know, how many times do we declutter our homes, our sacred space, and going, yeah, I don't like this anymore, and we just get rid of it. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, our minds are so creative on building patterns and being creative in the space around us through our intentions that I think that really determines what serves us and what doesn't serve us, is what we're creating on a continuous basis.
Exactly. That goes from, what we consume, as in what we eat. Some people, it's like, I don't think you'll ever hear me say, oh, you must be vegetarian, because every person is different. Like, I prefer vegetarianism for me personally, but I do know that when I get very tired, if we're doing way too many shows or I'm just stretched thin, I do need a piece of beef because it's going to give me that big iron boost.
Yeah.
So it's what is best for you specifically. And then don't get stuck in that. Because I grew up in Delaware. Chicken is the state bird. Chicken's cheap. I grew up on chicken. Well, guess what? I think I kind of literally overdosed on chicken because chicken kind of no longer likes me. So I don't eat it. I don't consume it. So your body is constantly changing. You're constantly, hopefully, evolving to be a better reflection of who you are. And, of course, then, what you adorn your body with, clothing, jewelry, hair color, hairstyles, all of that shifts. But then so does your environment, so does what you eat, but so does how your thought patterns. Everything begins to shift, and hopefully for the better.
I'd like to ask you a little bit about your book, because I am a huge fan of this book. It immediately. Thank you. You even signed it for me. I was so special. And
that's all.
I read it in the first 24 hours. I got through a majority of it, and to be quite honest, it really changed my spiritual path. Enhanced, I guess.
Really?
And really, it made the angels so accessible. And it gave me an opportunity to understand them in my own terms. And I think a huge part of that comes from the amount of information and the diversity of information that you provide in the book. For each of the archangels, there's a description of their name, what they do, the oils, the stones, the compass direction as applicable, affirmations to connect with them, a meditation. There's just so many pieces, including the zodiac symbol. I might even be missing a couple of things, and that's quite the list. But all of those pieces allowed me to personally connect, right? To go, okay, well, this is an angel that interests me because my sun sign is in Aquarius. And I was able to look that up. And then, this is an oil I'm using right now. Which angel, represents that oil? And indirectly, I realized, I'm working with this type of energy as a result of, working with that oil. So share with us a little bit about the journey of the book and what, how that came to be. Because you were kind of resistant on it for a little while, but
I was.
Yeah.
That book haunted me longer than it did the Oracle deck and reflection was like, okay, done. This book, I just kept getting these random people that I never saw again at shows. Hey, can you teach me? And I'm looking at them going, okay. Hey, do you have a book on them? And I'll go, It was one of those things again, like, okay, who am I to be putting out yet another thing? And it was one of those projects, Jason, that just would not leave me. And so I started going, okay, fine, I give up. Y'all are giving me a headache. I'll start working on this book. And the book probably took me close to 10 years. When it was all said and done. Did I work on it for 10 years? I'd be a big fat old liar that if I said yes. I would work on it and honestly trying to appease them, and then I would walk away thinking that was enough. And they go, Nate, no, you're coming back to this. And so it was such a hodgepodge. It was like I had notes everywhere. Every chapter was just like, it was like throwing darts and seeing what, where the energy was going to hit on it. So I really had to pull back and think about the questions that I had when I was first learning, and incorporate that, and thinking about, I thought about my product line. Okay, why did I create the oils? Why did I create the candles or the medallions or this or that? And bring, so think about the whys of that, and then weave that into the book, not to, support more product sales throughout the book, but remembering my why for that. So I added the aromatherapy scents that certainly connect with that angel and why. And certainly, because I love crystals, what crystals resonate with them and why. And, who doesn't love astrology? Now, many people know that astrology makes my hair hurt. I know I'm an Aries, and that's pretty much it. Don't ask me about what the sun or moon or Saturn was doing at the time of my birth, because I don't have a clue. But people like that information. So that was actually a suggestion from my publisher. Hey, can you include that? Oh, okay, sure. So, was it all intuitive? No, I did the due diligence and, did research and what resonated and what didn't resonate, and let it marinate and put it back out on my own. So, as you know, the book starts off with Michael, because as I mentioned earlier, I always want to make sure I've at least offered the energy of protection before you start doing this spiritual dance. Because, not every energy is yummy. Not every energy is lollipops and unicorns. There is night, there is day, there is up, there is down, there's balance. So, if there's goodness, there is not so goodness. There's lower energies. So I want to make sure I've offered up protection to help. And then the order of the book is just the same order of the authorization course. We start from the ground up. Now, I have no control how people read this, but I've offered it in such a way that you can be more grounded. Because, haven't you all heard of the term airy-fairy? People are so tapped in, but they're so not grounded. They have a very difficult time to share what they're seeing or sensing or knowing, because they're not fully in their body. And by being more grounded, you're in your body more, you're more present. And that certainly goes a long way too. And Jason, you do this brilliantly, with your clients. You're very present with them, but you also allow yourself to step out to let the messages come through, but you are there for your client. So if something isn't settling well, you can pick up on it right away. And that's how the order of how the book was written. And I incorporated affirmations into it to, again, get you out of your head a little bit and get you going and play with that. And I kind of wrote it how I talk, which can be, hopefully appealing to you or not appealing to you. But I didn't want to come across as, that Wizard of Oz hiding behind the curtain and you must do this, because that's not who I am, right? I wanted it to be approachable. I wanted it to be accessible. And honestly, I don't think I could write as the all-knowing Wizardess of Oz. It's just not my style. It's not who I am. And my writing is changing a bit. It's being a bit more in your face, but it still has, hopefully, that accessibility to make people relax, allow people to relax and see the message or hear the message, so they can then take it for their own evolvement and move forward.
So having experienced the book the way that I did, I can assure you that all those things are true. It very much is just how you talk.
Yeah.
Very lighthearted, very approachable, very easy to relate to, and it absolutely put me in a place to be moving forward anytime that I want. Right, I just tap into the information, and I carry the book with me to all of my shows. I share the information with people. I share the book with people. It's a really great compilation of your knowledge and experience and all the, all the messages and information that you've received. Angel Chatter is, it's like the go-to angel book in my world right now. So I would suggest everyone have a copy of that. You're welcome. So tell us a little bit about, because you said you see clients and you said you teach. Tell us a little bit about some of the things that you do, Christine.
Oh, so much. So the book, the Oracle deck prompted the book. The book then prompted the authorization course. And many people will offer a weekend or long weekend, and that you are now authorized. And I took some of those angel weekend classes, and they were lovely, a nice hotel and all those things. But I was actually, honestly, still left. Am I doing it? I have no clue what I'm doing, and not feeling ultimately empowered. So, given that we all don't have the luxury of overflowing finances, it was important for me to have this course available online, but also very important for me that there's not a rolling enrollment. It's only opened once a year. So for 2019, it is indeed closed because the course is 8 months. And we gather on Facebook in a very secret little group, so you can go look, but you're not going to find us because it's very sacred space. So thus far, it's primarily women that are taking the class. So the goddesses in attendance, the energy that they are building, I'm in awe. To witness their blossoming, I'm in awe. And many of them, I'd say probably half, have no intention to become a authorized angel chatter intuitive and to do readings for clients. And I'm totally cool with that because they said they're doing it to strengthen their connection with the angelic realm, but their lives are changing. So it's an 8-month course. I give students a year to do the course. Now, life happens. So as an example, last year my dad broke his ankle. He had an argument with a water hose. My mom had knee replacement surgery, and my youngest daughter got married. It was a pretty busy year. And that's, my inner circle. That didn't include me personally, but yet it did. So if I had to do this course in 8 months, it may not have gotten done. I'm not even sure I could have done it in a year. So I'm lenient, with that 1 year thing. But I just don't want you deciding that you're going to do the course and you turn in the first lesson in 3 years. I know me. I'm not going to be happy with that. And I know me, and I'm not going to be nice to you because of that. So it is a little bit of pushing. You signed on. You want to do the course. Let's get you going and let's do it. And that is indeed what's happening. So we meet twice a month via Facebook Live. So we gather, they question. Oftentimes it ends up me doing an impromptu guided meditation that they adore. And this year we are doing our first ever student retreat. And we are having it in my sacred space, which is my home. So it's going to be quite the event, and it's something because it is for me, Jason, really building that collective. It really is building that collaborative network, and really supporting another in their journey and what they're doing. And that's a lot of what's happening in that authorization course. So another thing that we do that I love, again, I got people starting to ask, hey, can I spend one-on-one time with you? Really? You want it? And it kind of threw me. Like, okay, let me think about this. So we designed a private weekend where it's all about you. And I cannot take any more than 2 people, so I have taken a husband and wife teams. I could take 2 friends because it literally is double the work on me. There's nothing easier about it except what goes on in the kitchen, and that's where my husband love, he missed his calling as a chef. He's brilliant. So all of the meals are home cooked. They're catered to your dietary specifications. And more celiac, not a problem. You eat raw, not a problem. It's a learning curve for us, so we do plenty of test runs, which is always yummy for my tummy. And the clients love it. I've had them literally skipping back to their car if they've driven here. And it includes 3 coaching sessions, which can go up to 2 hours at a clip, 2 healing sessions, because I'm trained in various healing modalities. You get a few gifts that await you on your bed on your arrival. It can include a magical walk in the woods, weather permitting, and if that is what you want to do, and also weather permitting, 2 fire pit ceremonies for releasing and manifestation. One held Friday night, one held Saturday night. And so blessed. We are offering 6 this year. We had 5 filled in January. So there's only 1 left, and that's at the end of September. And I'm just waiting. I'm very curious, because I know it's going to get filled. I'm just very curious on who's going to say yes to them. Because it's an intensive weekend, and it does take a lot out of my clients and us. But the results are pretty magical. It's very, very cool. And we do shows, as you know, because that's where we met. And we're trying to scale back on the shows a little bit so we're not traveling fools. But, yet to be determined. Love doing radio shows like this, podcasts, seeing more travel that is in my future, where I'm not one of many vendors, but people are coming specifically, to share space with me. So I can teach, do individual sessions with them and that kind of thing. And that's that's really, I love working with people, whether it's a one-on-one or lectures, depending on the venue. Like I'll be speaking this weekend at Victory of Light at the show in Cincinnati. So I obviously love to talk. I have no problem in that arena. So I love to give lectures. And they also tend to be fun and can take on a trajectory. We had a retreat years ago on the island of Chincoteague where we were living at the time. And my husband can be very analytical, because that's what he's good at. And he says, you don't have any notes. How are you going to be teaching this people? And I looked at him and said, I've got this. And he is just flummoxed on, and you're not preparing. You're not, I'm like, I'm prepared. So he's just like going nuts. And he's in the kitchen preparing a meal, and he apologized that night. He says, I was listening to you talk. He says, so you so got this. I'm like, thank you. So he had stopped asking me, where are your note cards before my lecture? He just now gives me a kiss and says, go have fun. And because he knows it's all in my head. And when I get into the hall, I read the energy of the room. I clear it first with, the mixtures that you love, Jason. And everybody's like, wow, that's amazing. What did you just do? And I said, we need to clear the energy, so we can all focus with us. And I set up some ground rules. This is sacred space. So what is shared in this space is sacred, not to be talked about outside this, because some people may share some very private things. Do we have an agreement? And if you can't agree, there's the door. And they all look at me like, oh, wow, she's serious. I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. So it's cool. It's cool.
So much going on, so much to offer to people, and anybody at any level can really get in touch with you in one way or another. Of course, they can find you at angelchatter.com. That's kind of the hub for everything that you do. That's really one of the best ways to get a view and understand where you might fit into the Angel Chatter community. Right. Also, your book and the book is available on Amazon. It's really probably the quickest, easiest way to get a hold of it.
Yep. And, and certainly we do clients. I had actually 2 clients this week from Canada. So, I do one-on-ones over the phone, And if you really want to come here in person, we can do that. And then I do offer mentor programs where we can dig deep, and it's 3 consecutive months, and it's a hoot because we will meet every week via phone, but then you have really super quick and easy access to me about anything that comes up during the week. Hey, can you help me? Hey, what's going on? And I love it. I love it because, the one-on-one readings, just the one-off, they're great. It gets people to understand me, and maybe that's all you need. But then I am working with a mentee right now, and she's just amazing. And she was really having a difficult time because don't you all find that the things that come easy to you kind of poo-poo? Oh, everybody can do that. And it's like, no, that's your gift. And she's like, but really? I'm like, yeah, you have animal communication. That's your thing. And she's like, she's arguing with me. And we're now into month 2, and she's like, I get it. It is my gift. I'm like, yes. So we're in the process of doing a little bit of revamping of her website to showcase that more than what she has allowed thus far, which is just so cool. It is just so cool, and you finally, people go, oh, yes, I get it. I'm saying yes to me. I'm like, my work is done, because that's what I love to hear. I'm saying yes to me.
True. What a great message. An amazing message.
Right?
Well, Christine, thank you so much for taking the time out of your crazy schedule to spend an hour with us chatting about the angels and your story and all the amazing things that you offer and share with the world. And we really appreciate you sharing with us here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, your products, and let everybody know that the books, the cards, the droppers, and the sprays are all available here, as well as the Affirmation deck and book set is also available here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. And we will we'll be hopefully having Christine here to do some kind of teaching, readings, that kind of thing, sometime in 2019. We're looking to line that up, and
we are. I'm so excited.
Yeah, people just stay apprised to our Discover Your Spiritual Gifts Facebook page, and we'll announce when we figure that out and when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I thank you all 3 so much, Dave. It was a pleasure to meet you. Violet, I hope you feel better, honey. And Jason, thank you. Thank you all from my heart to yours. You've just all made my day. I've had a great time chatting with you and allowing me to share my story.
Well, thank you for being on the show. We really appreciate it. And thank you to all our listeners. For our next show, we'll have guest Rebecca Rosen. And thank you for listening today. And please stay connected. We're going to highlight several of our practitioners here and have a brief statement from each of them about what they do. And I'm sure you'll find it fascinating. So have a great week and blessings.
My name is Davina. I'm a reader here at DYSG, and I've been psychic since I was a small child. I'm gifted with sight, hearing, knowing, and feeling. I have gone public and have been reading for the last 5 years, full-time, so for over a year. I would be happy to serve you. I'm able to talk to your higher self, spirit guides, angels. Sometimes passed over loved ones come through. I don't choose who comes through to speak to me. I just ask that it's for your highest good and as the light. I am here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts from 10 to 5 on Fridays.
My name is Selena from Love Your Light. I knew I was special when I was a little girl. I used to walk around the house whenever family members were hurting or a sick pet, and I would put my hands on them to make them feel better. Obviously, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I just always had the drive, the interest to want to help people feel better. And I also, when I was a child, started knowing when people were sick and knowing when they were going to pass, knowing immediately babies, boys, girls, twins, other, and it just grew from there. My mom was also an intuitive, so was my grandma. So I was in that environment. It just developed and grew the older I got. I am blessed to have a number of gifts. I am an intuitive guide. I teach Reiki, and I'm a mentor. I help people discover their gifts and abilities. I do intuitive counseling. I do energy clearings, personal energy clearings, and space energy clearings. I basically just want to help people see their light and love their light. I am at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts on Thursdays. I'm here full day as a practitioner, so I have morning, afternoon, and evening appointments. I'm also a reader Thursdays.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness.